Thanks a million.
Okay, let's begin. Thanks everyone for coming along. I will not be taking up too much of your time right now. I'm just going to introduce the session, which is Digital Transformation in Practice, Working Smarter with Google Workspace. I'm going to hand over to Peter McKiernan in a second from IT to kick us off. But just to note, if you have any questions, if you think of anything during the session, if you want to make any comments, please feel free to do so in the chat. That's what it's there for. And we'll get to those when we can, which will probably be towards the end of the session. So yeah, without further ado, I'll hand over to you, Peter.
Thanks very much, Jeremy. Appreciate that. So listen, just to start saying a big thank you to Jeremy, obviously Michael, all the Work Smarter team for organising the event this week. We're very happy to be presenting here. My name is Peter McKiernan. I'm a project manager in the Enterprise Applications Group in IT Services. And I'm joined today by Rachel Hickey and Aidan Curran, who are also both part of the team in Enterprise Applications. So our presentation is going to focus on digital transformation in practice. And I hope at the end of the session, we'll have sparked an interest in how Google Workspace can improve how you collaborate with colleagues and make your digital work environment just that bit easier to manage and hopefully more effective as well. And to hopefully prove the statement here correct, that when the dust settles, we likely see that our remotely working employees are just as productive during this crisis, if not more so. And that's just a quote from Aaron McEwen, a VP in Gartner. So roughly a year ago, hard to believe it's a year ago now, at the start of the pandemic, we moved all our operations online, and many of us at the time were understandably would have been a little bit uneasy about the fundamental change that had taken place then. In reality, years of cultural and practical work process changes took place pretty much overnight. But now the dust has settled, we're much more comfortable with our virtual environments. We've all become very adept at using Zoom as we are now, and used to working in this, as they say, new normal of virtual working. But now we want and need more from our working environments. As the quote says, we want to be just as productive, and I believe in many cases more productive, as when we were in the office, if, as I say, if not more so. So what we want to do for you today is to showcase some applications which are all part of the Google Workspace suite. They're all available on your desktops right now, which we think have the potential to transform in a really kind of practical way our new working environments and just make that life that bit easier, hopefully, and more productive. So to kick off, we're just going to show you a quick 2-minute video as an introduction to Google Workspace. And we then showcase in more detail how we can use some of these applications in a very practical way to improve how we work. So the focus stays very much on the practical side of things. So I'll just start the video now for you.
Okay, let's get started.
Can we make that orange?
Great, there we go.
Okay, what do you think, Steve? Steve?
So I hope that put a smile to your face. My foot keeps tapping. I've listened to that a few times now. It's hard to get out of my head, so apologies for that. So this slide here now highlights probably the most commonly used of our Google Workspace applications. So we've Google Mail, which we're all very familiar with, Google Docs, Drive, Google Meet. We could just as easily put Zoom in there because it integrates seamlessly into the Google Workspace suite. We've Calendar itself, and Google Keep, and Tasks, and then finally Curran. So the ones we're going to focus on today are Google Docs, and we're going to focus very much on live team collaboration, and that's just to show you a few screens around that. We're going to showcase Google Keep for you. It's a perfect tool for managing your meetings. We're going to show Google Tasks, and in particular how that integrate in with your calendar. And then Google Currents, where hopefully we may be able to continue the conversation after the session and in the days ahead as well. So where do you find all these applications? Well, you can access them all right from your desktop. You can click on what is sometimes referred to as the hamburger menu just there at the top, just circling it there. And you get the application drop down. And you can also, of course, go in through UC Connect into your email and calendar if you're not logged in. So now we're just going to focus on Google Docs from there. So for collaboration around projects and meetings, one of the applications we find really useful is Google Docs. And one of the really good features with Google Docs is that you can edit your document with, for example, your project team or other ad hoc group in real time. And this is the case, just to say, for all of the Google productivity applications. So Sheets, which is basically Excel, and Slides, and indeed Keep, as I'll show you in a moment. You can collaborate live on those. So just to show you how that looks in practice. In EAG, we use Google Docs to collaborate on things like minutes of meetings. These can be drafted at the meeting and then agreed on, then finished out actually at the meeting. We share draft project proposals and collaborate together live on those to the final version. And one really key point is that document creator retains ownership at all times and has full version control and can revert back to previous versions as required. So you can see there, that's our team. They're working on a Google security resilience document, and you can see everybody working away on it. And as I say, full version control is maintained by the owner of the document. And very important, you can do all of this from any device while you're out and about on the move. So from your laptop, from your mobile, or from your tablet. So on to Google Keep. This is a great team collaborative tool as well for managing meetings, taking minutes, and setting agendas. You'll also see it's great. You'll also see it's great for those kind of light bulb moments, noting down points that come to mind when you're out and about and on the move. One of the features I really like about Keep is that you use all the power of Google Calendar as well by setting yourself reminders about particular notes and tasks. And that's a feature that's also, as Aidan was showing in a few moments, in Tasks as well. And we'll show you how that looks when you overlay it on your calendar. So again, to access most of these applications are integrated into the Gmail screen, as I say. And your Gmail screen can be easily configured to show chat, rooms, and meet, as I show here. Further on the right-hand side, you have instant access to Calendar, Keep, and Tasks. You also Contacts, and I've integrated in video calls through Zoom. You can see the icon there and down there in the bottom right in this circle. And this easy configuration set up for your email screen turns it into basically a one-stop shop for all your collaboration and meeting requirements. So it's all there right in front of you and makes it very easy to use. Also, you know, just up at the top of the screen, you also have Presence Aware, which is great if you want to send that instant chat message to a colleague, knowing that they are there to pick it up. And very much like kind of replacing your conversation around the water cooler. Great for that. But also, so you maintain full control over your Presence Aware settings. That's all managed locally. So to access Keep, there you have it on the right-hand side. You can also open up Keep when you're out and about on your mobile device. There's an app available to download from Google Play or the App Store. Very easy to do. So into Keep itself then. So say you start off by setting a note or memo for yourself, or maybe a new agenda from scratch. I manage most of my meeting agendas and minutes and notes through Keep. So my Keep has just a whole load of meetings and headings in it. You can invite others to participate on an idea or on an agenda, and it's a really good collaboration tool for quick and easy sharing of ideas with colleagues. And team members can also collaborate live, just as I showed you on the previous slides with Google Docs. You can do the very same thing in Keep as well, in collaboration live. You can also use it to set reminders for yourself. So connect it to a note or meeting, and this way leverage all the power of Google Calendar, and it'll overlap on your calendar with a reminders tab. And again, Aidan will show you the equivalent of that in tasks in a few moments. You can add different backgrounds just to help categorize your different notes. You can add images at any time. I find Keep really useful for kind of quick note taking for ideas that hit me on the move, and I just put them in on my phone when I'm out and about. And also, yeah, you can make a voice recording, which you can listen back to later when using Keep on your mobile device, or perhaps take a picture and add that to your Keep note as well. So a very handy, easy to use tool, and as I say, right there on your desktop. So I'll hand over to Aidan now. I'll just stop my share, and Aidan's going to take you through Google Tasks and Google Currents as well.
Okay, thanks, Peter.
Over to you, Aidan.
Morning, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen with you now, and just to demonstrate with you another aspect of the collaborative power of these Google apps. Myself and Peter are actually using the same slide deck to give this presentation. We don't have two different sets of presentations. You see Peter's icon is there, so I'm just going to present it here. I'm going to talk to you about two other of the Google Workspace apps today. One of them you'll be very familiar with from this week, if not from before that. Another one you may not even have noticed, but which is very powerful and interacts with your other apps as well. So the first one is Google Currents, which we've seen has been made great use of this week in the Work Smarter Together events and discussions going around it. As you've probably seen, or if you're new to it, it's a discussion forum platform. You can see when you click on your menu in your email and you drop down all of your list of Google apps, it's that snazzy looking blue icon there. It's available to all UCD staff, and the function of Google Currents is for you to set up groups and communities, say within teams or even across the campus, virtually or in real time as well. A group that comes together on Google Currents is called a community, so you may have seen various team communities if you've been on Currents already. There are two types of communities that can be set up. One is private, which means only the members of that community, that group, can see the posts and can see what's going on in it. That's suitable for, say, a work-related team or for a project where you're just collaborating on some work together. Only members can see those posts, so you don't have to worry if people outside of your group are seeing it. Any new members must be invited to join that group, so it's quite controlled that way. Alternatively, and as you've seen with Work Smarter Together activities, the other setting is for visible within UCD. So that's good, as we've seen, for social or cultural activities or for campus-wide initiatives where you want to get more exposure and generate a bit of attention for yourselves. All UCD colleagues can see what you post in those groups. And that's good for encouraging wider engagement, getting people interested or getting people to discover what you're working on or what you're collaborating on. You've seen probably at this stage the Work Smarter Together community on Google Currents. Another one we wanted to draw your attention to, which is relevant to our discussion today, is the Google Workspace community, where we're posting, as we've done today, various tips and tricks and news and how-tos about using the various apps. So on the screenshot there, I have one about how to set up your Gmail inbox with folders and subfolders if you're looking to move from using Microsoft Outlook for your email to Gmail. Okay, the final app we're going to show you today is one called Google Tasks. So if you're looking for an online tool to manage your tasks and to interact with your Google Calendar and your Gmail, this is the app for you. Peter mentioned already the icons that are integrated with your Gmail on the right-hand side of the screen. The Google Task one, it actually looks like a lit cigarette, if you forgive me, from this distance. That small app there, you'll notice it from now on, now that I've pointed it out to you. What it does is it allows you to set up tasks that will interact with your email, with your calendar, so you can manage your tasks, set regular reminders, and basically have an online task list. Okay, you can add in tasks manually into your list of tasks if something just pops into your head. You can set it as a calendar entry so that it'll repeat or it'll occur on a regular basis. So for example, if you have a deadline coming up, you might want to enter that in as a task, or if you have something that'll be recurring, which isn't necessarily a calendar meeting, you can add it to your calendar as a task. Okay, and that's how you would see it as well. If you're in an email here, you could add an email to your Google Tasks as well. That icon at the top of the screen circled in red, if you click on that, it'll automatically put the email directly into your tasks, and that's circled down at the bottom right. You can also, as I mentioned just before that, interact with your tasks in your calendar. One of your calendar settings on the left is for tasks. So when you tick on that task calendar, you can see what task is coming up in your calendar there. Okay, you can also jump from your calendar task back to the email that's related to it. You can see that there in blue. So it allows you to move fluidly between your email, your calendar, and your list of tasks, which is basically how we work as well, because whatever piece of work we have emails relating to it, a calendar entry relating to it, a task related entry to it. So this allows you to manage everything within one set of tasks. And if you're getting inspiration while you're walking out for your morning coffee, there is an app available for your device, so you can always enter a task manually that way. Okay, that concludes our little tour of the Google Workspace apps. I hope we've given you, between myself and Peter, plenty of inspiration as well to just go in, look for those apps, fiddle around with them, experiment with them. They're yours, they're available to you. Join some of the Google Currents communities that you see, and if you have any questions about any of those apps, we'll be available for discussion as well, or to continue this discussion over on Google Currents as well. So thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Aidan. Just to say to everyone, if anyone has any questions, put them in the chat. Jeremy, you might be able to steer people in that direction.
Absolutely, yep. So there's some comments coming in, just as comments. People are very nice with their comments generally in these sessions to say thanks very much. Not necessarily coming through with questions, but that's fine. If anyone does have any questions, please feel free. You can also unmute yourself and ask a question if you'd rather ask rather than put it in the chat. So just to note that. But while we're waiting for questions to come through, and I know we've got about 10 minutes or so left in the session, is there anything from your own perspective as working as a team that you've found to be kind of a game changer in relation to these tools? Or anything that you'd like to highlight that you found particularly valuable from your own experiences that you'll definitely carry back even when we're back on campus?
I think working, I just wanted to add as well that the collaborative aspect of, say, we're on a video call, we're reviewing a document where we can all have the same document open, make live changes and edits. It just saves so much time, and it cuts out lots of back and forth that you would have with emails or misunderstandings.
Yeah, and Jamie, just to add, I mean, the whole focus of these applications is just to make day-to-day work that bit easier, particularly around collaboration. Like the live collaboration is a really powerful tool, and also very simple things. And I'm not sure the awareness of people out there, but being able to overlap with your calendar, for some, for tasks and keeping some of those notes is a really powerful way in which your email integrated in as well. Bringing all those together, it really does improve and make day-to-day tasks that bit easier and keep a track of things and everything, so I think, probably for some people it just, it's like anything new, it just takes a while to get used to it. But I use these things like, every day, and I find them very, very useful. I'm an advocate because I'm actually a really active user.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that there's questions coming through, Rachel. I don't know if you wanted to take some of them.
Yeah, sorry, I was just having a bit of a difficulty there for a second. There's one there, I don't know if it's been mentioned yet, the Google Meet versus Zoom. I don't think you mentioned that one. And it's just somebody saying, Kira saying, how do you rate Google Meet versus Zoom? And again, I think it's sort of a personal taste thing. I think they're both equally, they both do the job very well, but it's slightly different on how visually. So I suppose one seems to be a little bit more up close, and the other one you're a little bit, there's only slight visual differences. But I would tend to, if I'm chatting to somebody in chat, I'd throw in a quick chat, let's meet, and a little video, and you just do it that way. Or you might be sending an invite via your calendar or whatever, or your Gmail, and then you might find that Zoom is just as quick in that sense. But really, I've not noticed yet anyway, any real difference or benefit from one over the other.
Can I interrupt there actually?
No.
I just heard, I had a Zoom meeting a while back, and there was drilling. My neighbor was drilling next door, and Zoom was excellent at drowning that out. So I believe I've heard that Zoom is better for that kind of thing. If you have background noise, it does kind of try and get rid of that, just to say.
Yeah, thanks, Rowan. Personally, I use both. If I'm setting up a meeting, my preference is Zoom generally, and they both integrate seamlessly in with your calendar and setting up meetings and so on. They're both identical in how you can set them up. I find I tend to use a Meet if I'm actually in a chat and there's an icon there right beside it, and I tend to just if I know someone's there and we just say we want to jump on a call, I might tend to use Meet for that. But as I say, they both seamlessly integrate in with your calendar, and Zoom, as Brian says, has some more powerful features in some areas.
Peter, just a question there from my colleague Melanie, asking just to show you how you integrate the tasks with your calendar. I think that it would involve a particular setting setup. I don't know if you guys have the scope to do that.
Actually, hi Louise, hi Melanie. If you are editing your task, when you have your task, you can add it to your calendar when you edit the task itself. And then when you go into your calendar settings, one of the calendars you can see in my calendars has tasks. You tick that on, and
oh yeah, sorry, Aidan, I just meant so, and actually I meant email. Sorry, Aidan. So on my Gmail, I already have added like rooms and Meet. They come, and chat. It comes along. It's in the bar at the side. So I just want to add one of those new things that you're talking about. So if I wanted to add keep, so that it appears on the left or right hand side of my email, so that I can get to it easily. How do you add it on?
It should already be there, as far as I understand, Peter. It's integrated onto the right hand side. Otherwise, there is
No, it's not.
Okay, there is a setting in the in your email settings, Rachel, isn't there, where you can configure your chat and your Meet to display on the left.
Meet. Okay.
Yeah.
I can post a link to that on the discussion after this, and we'll be able to.
I was just going to say we'll post a link on up on the Currents, the Workspace Together Currents, and we'll post that up there for sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's all there in the settings. You can configure it in your settings in your Gmail.
Yeah, I can see the chat and Meet. I just don't see the task or the keep one.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Yeah,
we'll pay special attention to that when we put it up on the Currents for sure. Thanks for that.
This one might be, sorry, again, Aidan, it's a Currents one. So as Ciara says, as we manage research teams within and outside UCD, we sometimes have to find workarounds to help people outside UCD. And do Google Currents communities strictly only allow UCD people, or do they allow non-UCD people?
Google Currents really is intended just for the UCD community. Google Drive is probably easier for sharing material and folders with people outside of UCD, because there are settings where you can let anyone who has the link access it, and it can be applicable to people outside the organization as well. So certainly, without going into too much detail about what the situation is, Google Drive is more flexible in that regard.
And then
can I hop in with one, just because I know that it's come up before? It's in relation to delegated access to accounts, and I know that that's something that people with shared accounts are doing. So there's a question here from Gregory: can delegated account users access features like tasks? So on a shared email where people have delegated access to that email, is tasks available for a team, let's say, who are using a shared email? Or is that too challenging a question?
I'm trying to think of the way of describing it. Tasks, yeah, it's if everybody, if say if you're in calendar, if you've shared calendar with certain people, then they have access to anything that calendar pertains to. And an email, whether they can't set up a task, if I'm right there, Peter, they can't set up a task in the email, but they can if it's shared with them, they can then access it.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to do that in terms of sharing with groups is to use groups and add users to the group, and then you know, a calendar will be available to that group or whoever is a member of that group, and that would be the way to do it rather than delegate it. But certainly, groups is very powerful for managing teams, and has a lot of functionality built into it. We could do a whole session just on groups. But in, for example, in our group in enterprise applications, we have an EAG at UC.ie group, and then any members of that group can access our calendar, and we have, you know, meeting calendars and holiday calendars and so on. And once you're a member of that group, you have access to add to that calendar as you would with whatever rights are given to it. So yeah, very powerful. But groups will be the way to do that, and very powerful functionality within that.
Thanks.
I just see a question there from Nikki about creating folders for Google Drive. We actually have some information on our website, on the IT Services website, regarding how to use Google Drive. So what I could do is I could post a link to that when we move over to Google Currents, and you'll be able to access it there.
I'm just scrolling down to see if we've missed any questions. There's one there. Do these tools, I presume Google, do these tools integrate with other productivity project management tools such as Trello and Slack? That I'd have to.
We might put that question the other way around and ask to Trello and Slack integrate with Google Drive. For example, we've just launched a PDF signature tool called NitroSign, and that allows you to save documents directly into your Google Drive, for example. So other tools can integrate with Google Drive and other Google apps like that. So it probably depends on the capabilities and the functionalities of the tool itself.
Yeah. Brian, I see you nodding down there. Do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So Trello and Slack are very popular applications, and however, they're also considered third-party apps. So there is a project ongoing at the moment to assess how we would make these apps available in a secure way to everybody at UCD. So there is an integration through the third-party apps to Trello, Slack, and hundreds of other applications, but it's making it secure. So on advice of Google, sorry to cut it short, on advice of Google, we've limited the accessibility to these apps, but we're working through that at the moment with IT security as to how we would open it up to a set of whitelisted apps, basically.
Okay. Very good. Perfect, Brian. Thanks for that.
Thanks for that, Brian. I just wanted to note really quickly, so we're approaching the 12 o'clock mark, and we have another session on at 12. So I think there's probably some questions and some conversation to continue here. So I'd recommend maybe moving it to the currents for that. I will put in a personal testimonial from my own team in terms of myself and Emer working closely together with people from across campus. The Google Workspace, once you make the transition to it, like you kind of have to agree what you're going to use the different tools for, but once you do that, it's amazing what you can do. It unlocks a huge amount of potential. It frees up a lot of your time because you're not trying to fit things together. Everything integrates. So there is a bit of work to do to get to that, but once you're there, it's phenomenal what you can achieve. So I've definitely found it really useful, and this session even has given me more ideas on what to do. So thanks a million to Peter and Rachel and Aidan for that, and there's a link in the chat there to the Google Currents directly, so you can hop in there and ask questions. But thank you for your time. I don't know if you want to say anything as a parting word.
Yeah, look, thanks to everyone. I hope you found the session useful. There's a whole lot more we could cover. For example, people are asked us there for a session about Google Drive, so certainly we'll be doing more of these over the coming year for sure. And we have a Currents Workspace account as well, so we'll be keeping that up to date as well. So any questions you have, please post them in there, and we'll be on the Work Smarter Together one after this, on the Work Smarter Together Current. So thanks everybody. I hope you found it useful. See you all again.
Thanks everyone. And for